right, welcome to the Young Turks. Big, packed show for you guys today. A little bit later in the program, probably in the second hour, we're going to talk about how the United States military all of a sudden interested in a little bit of ecstasy. Fascinating development, okay? We've got a lot of great stories for you in the second hour. We've got a lot of great stories for you in the first hour. We make a lot of big ones. We make a lot of little ones. Are we going to break down a debate from last night? Of course. Of course. I love this stuff on religion. That stuff is gold. Okay, we're coming. We're going to do that. And what else do I have? Oh, incredibly important news on Joe Biden and the Democrats and the Republicans talking. We are getting near a conclusion. There are very telltale signs. I can tell you where we're going and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Oh, I'm going to keep you in suspense for a little bit. Okay. Now, we're going to start with fun. Now, there's a campaign here in Los Angeles, of all places, actually. Councilwoman Janice Hahn is a Democrat. She's running for Jane Harmon's old seat. Jane Harmon, of course, stepped down. She's running against Republican Craig Huey. But it is not Huey's campaign that put this ad together that everybody's now talking about. It is a guy by the name of Lad Ellinger, and he is with a group called Turn Right USA. And they have put together an ad about how Janice Hahn has helped former gang members talk to current gang members and try to talk them out of the lifestyle of being gang members, right? Now, that seems like a generally good thing, right? Not according to Turn Right USA. But that's not what makes this story interesting. What makes it interesting is possibly the most racist, sexist, political ad in history. Let's watch.
In an insane effort to reduce gang violence, Janice Hahn hired hardcore gang members with taxpayer money to be gang intervention specialists. She even helped them get out of jail so they could rape and kill again.
I've been working with Janice Hahn. I've been working with Janice Hahn. I've been working with Janice Hahn. You know what I'm saying?
Kill! 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 Give me your cash, bitch, so we can shoot up the street. Give me your cash, bitch, so we can buy some more heat. Give me your cash, ho, so we can get out the pen. Give me your cash, ho, cause we back in again. Give me your cash, bitch, so we can shoot up the street. Give me your cash, bitch, so we can buy some more heat. Give me your cash, ho, so we can get out the pen. Give me your cash, ho, cause we back in again. Give me your cash, bitch, so we can shoot up the street. Give me your cash, bitch, so we can buy some more heat. Give me your cash.
It does take a different kind of person to be able to speak the language.
Cause we back in again.
Congress has enough gangsters. Janice Hahn, bad for LA, bad for America. Let's keep her out of Congress, homies. Donate now.
I try to figure out what the worst part of that ad is. Well, it's tough to figure it out. I mean, you have the black guys singing, give me the cash, bitch. That's pretty bad, right? And then you have the stripper posing as the potential as the candidate there. And then he does something with the rifle and her buttocks, if you notice at the end there. Does it seem a bit sexist to portray the congresswoman or potential congresswoman, current candidate? She's in a district where she's almost certainly going to win, right? Yeah, a little sexist to say the least. To portray African Americans that way, is that a little racist? A little. And then how about the eyes, right? Janice Hahn. And how about making things up like allowing them to rape again? Just made it up. This is a real group, by the way. They called them and they said, yeah, we did the ad and who cares? And this is what we do. And they're the same group, by the way, that did the ad for Dale Peterson. You remember him? He was running in Alabama. Just to remind you, let's just show you a little bit of that ad so you remember what these guys were up to before.
I'm Dale Peterson, and I'm after the Republican nomination for Alabama Agriculture Commissioner. I've been a farmer, a businessman, a cop, a Marine during Vietnam. So listen up. Alabama Ag Commissioner is one of the most powerful positions in Alabama, responsible for $5 billion. Bet you didn't know that. You know why? Thugs and criminals.
Apparently, there isn't an ad that these guys do that doesn't involve some sort of weaponry, right? And then at the very end, of course, of the Janice Hahn ad, they had that, keep her out of Congress, and then that weapon. I assume they mean the black guys have the weapon, or could it mean then, like, keep her out of Congress and here's a weapon? I don't know. I mean, the rest of that is so bad, you begin to wonder what the hell their intentions are. And I'm stunned by it. And then the last part of it is the guys who helped them do this ad. Apparently they're called Splack Pack, according to the guy who put this ad together. And they're a Florida-based rap group, according to Talking Points memo. JR, what do you think about those gentlemen?
The guys that were put up to that video?
Yeah.
You're idiots. I mean, I know what you're trying to do, Cenk Uygur.
He was all worked up before the show about these guys, okay? Because you know what they're asking you to do, and then you go out there and you do that rap on that political ad. Come on.
Yeah, it's obvious. You're the minstrel show. You're the reason that they have the thoughts, and they go, well, we can pay these dumbasses anything we want to.
All right.
And they can act the way we want them to. They're our puppets. Then probably pay them $5 an hour or something like that because they're losers.
So not much respect for Splack Pack, which, by the way, sounds kind of dirty. I don't know, like in not a good way. Like, you had a Splack Pack moment. It's not a good moment. Okay, well, and that was not a good moment. But hey, listen, I gotta congratulate these right wingers again in the group, Turn Right USA, for coming up with an ad that I could not imagine. If you told me that they would do an ad that racist, that sexist, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have thought it was a joke, but apparently it is not a joke. I tell you, man, right-wingers, they always find a way to surprise you. They keep you guessing. Got to give them credit for that.
At least the dumb young lady that posed as the stripper throughout the video, at least you didn't see her face. At least she was smart enough to do that. These dumb fucks.
Okay, right.
Gap teeth and fucking idiot hat with their face shaking in front of somebody's ass. These are the times that you reserve to be like, now you say, what are you doing? Like, do you understand how you're coming off and how you look? I don't give a fuck how much money they pay you, which was nothing. Look how cheap that little ad was. Anybody could have created that in their basement.
Right.
So you're just that dumb fuck who's standing in front of a green screen, shaking your ass, pulling some fake dollar bills out of some chick's booty that's in your face. It's so ridiculous, man. Like I said, I'm gonna stop right there.
All right. Yeah. Well, if I went to him again, it'd get ugly. So let's just keep it right there. Okay. So now, but they're not alone in having some racial issues. Fox News also having some racial issues. Eric Bolling, who is a Fox Business host. Now, I've seen many clips with this guy. I've never seen him talk about business. Every single thing is about how Obama is doing this and he's doing that and he's destroying the country. Like, stocks are going up or they're going down. I don't know. It's Fox Business. All they ever do is bash Obama, right? For things that make sense, for things that don't make sense. Actually, I've hardly ever seen anything that makes sense on Eric Bolling's program or on Fox Business. You get business advice from Fox Business, you're going to lose a lot of money. Now, they're going to talk about how President Obama has a foreign leader in the White House. Now, from time to time, our president, whether he's a Republican or Democrat, has to meet with some questionable characters, some dictators, and by the way, some dictators we've been in favor of and some dictators we've been against, right? So they're going to take this, of course, as an opportunity to smear Obama because this leader is from Africa. So, of course, let's make some racial references. Here you go. Here's what he did.
Guess who's coming to dinner? A dictator. Mr. Obama shares a laugh with one of Africa's kleptocrats. It's not the first time he's had a hoodlum in his house. Smile for the birdie. Our president sitting with one of Africa's most wanted. It's not the first time he's had a hood in the big crib.
They're unbearable. I don't know what the worst part of that is. No, I do. It's not that they're racist. It's that they're trying to be cool. They think that's cool. He's had a hood in the crib. I'm Eric Bolling. I'm so cool. Aren't I cool? In his house. Oh, God, I used one of those terms. God, I'm so cool. And we linked Obama with an African guy and a dictator. And then you see, and Common, the rapper, they're all black and they're all hoods and they're all in the crib in his house. And then, of course, when challenged on this, they're like, what? Well, what do you mean? Sure, I just said that his house and all the hoodlums and stuff, and I showed a picture of black people. What do you mean? Right? So after a lot of pressure, next thing you know, Eric Bolling has decided that was not a good idea, and he's going to try to issue the quickest apology in the history of television. Let's watch.
One editorial note, on Friday we did a story about the president meeting with the president of Gabon. We got a little fast and loose with the language, and we know it's been interpreted as being disrespectful, and for that, I'm sorry. We did go a bit too far. More.
All right, well, it's an apology. Look, I'll take it. But fast and loose with the language, you have to understand something about television. Those two things that we showed you were taped. So they rolled tape on it. It was in the script. Doesn't mean that he didn't read it live, but it was in the script, and they had matched the video to the script. That means it was pre-produced. It was planned. It wasn't like Eric was talking, and he normally talks to his homies that way, and he was just saying all that stuff, and he got fast and loose in the middle of a conversation. No, it was planned. But nonetheless, all right, apology. I think we move on. Everybody's going to live. It was just a funny little moment. JR, I wouldn't go as far as a pardon, but not a national issue?
Yeah, sure it is.
Oh, it is. Oh, JR's not buying it. JR's worked up today.
Why isn't Eric Bolling getting some? I mean, he gets a 5-second apology. Big deal. I mean, as you said, this is planned. This is like something it's across the board. It's, you know, it's in the organization. It's organizational the way they do this. So, it's another. I don't know. The thing is, since it's on Fox, I mean, we don't expect anything like that to happen, and then a 5-second apology that didn't even acknowledge that they did something. We understand that it's been interpreted as being disrespectful. That is not saying it's disrespectful. That's not saying it was wrong. We apologize if we've hurt anyone. That's just another way of saying it. It's another non-apology.
Right.
But I don't expect anything from them anymore.
You're right. I have gotten immune to Fox. Like when I saw that, I wasn't outraged. I was like, well, that's Fox. Of course, that's if you go to Fox Business, what do you think they're going to do, right? But on the other hand, you know. Do you think that do you think it's a firing offense? I mean, I think they hired him to do that. So why would they fire him over that?
Yeah, you don't expect him to get fired because that was planned. That's what they want him to do. To sound like the fake-ass Jim Rome, who's already annoying.
Right.
And the hizzy. Did you hear me? The hizzy.
And that dude needs to button up his shirt a little bit. Look, you know me, I'd rather go tieless, right? But that guy's like, you know, he's like this, and he's like, what's up in the hizzy? Obama with another brother. All right, dude. All right. Button up. Okay.
That's the thing. I think the idea was to get, like, you know, Fox has their 90-year-old audience, and they're like, we're going to get these young Republicans who are up late. It seems like one of those late night shows like Red Eye. It looks like it's a similar show. So, yeah, we're going to get these 25 to 30-year-olds that say hizzy. And they hate Obama. Fuck out of here.
JR's worked up today, man. JR for president. I hear you. You know they're creeping up those YouTube comments. JR for president. All right, he could actually be president, unlike me. All right. By the way, just a quick little thing. I shouldn't throw it in there, but I'm gonna have some fun. 18 to 34 demographic. All of a sudden, my MSNBC show. Fox News, we're coming for you. Now, look, you got to understand something. Fox is a huge lead in the cable ratings, okay? And I said when I first came to MSNBC that I was going to catch him. And everybody was like, oh, Cenk Uyghur, going to catch Fox News. And look, we're nowhere near in the general ratings because it's a huge hole, right? And you got to make up a lot of distance. But if you catch him in any demo, that's news. Let's see how it turns out in June. Because how many 18 to 34-year-olds watch Fox News, right? So their overall giant lead doesn't translate much to the younger demos. But hey, listen, I'm telling you, if any show catches them in any demo, it's big news. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Just calm down, everybody, okay? 10-2, okay? All right, so now, actually a serious story for you guys here. The president of the EU Parliament came out today, Jerzy Buzek, and he threw some cold water on the idea of a Palestinian state. Remember, in September, the Palestinians are going to go and ask for statehood from the United Nations, and we'll see what kind of pressure the United States puts to make sure that doesn't happen, because God forbid we would actually be in favor of a two-state solution, which we pretend to be in favor of, right? So But it looks like the Palestinians are very likely to win on that count. And remember, that's exactly how Israel got statehood. It makes perfect sense. It's perfectly nonviolent. It's diplomatic. It abides by international law. It's the most logical thing I've ever seen. So, of course, America hates it, doesn't want it at all. Israel is against it because they would like to apparently occupy that territory forever. I mean, you saw Netanyahu came in, gave a speech here and saying that it is not occupied territory, that they have always had a claim to that land. What does that mean? And remember when President Obama said there should not be a permanent occupation, and the Republicans here and some of the Democrats went nuts. Most of the Democrats went nuts. How dare you say there shouldn't be a permanent occupation? So now the EU, unfortunately, or at least this gentleman, who's a very powerful person in the EU, starting to turn a little bit, and he used the word dangerous. It might be dangerous if the Palestinians get a state. Now wait, let me get this right. So all those years, you said and I said and everybody said, don't do violence to the Palestinians, because that was dangerous. We all agreed, right? That's the wrong way to go. Now they don't use violence, they use diplomacy, and all of a sudden, that's also dangerous. They say, well, if they gain statehood, they might actually expect their state, and then we might have an Arab Spring kind of moment where the Palestinians say, hey, we would like to now control the state that is ours, right? And then that might create problems, and the Israelis right now are training on how to put down movements like that. Well, that would be their state. What do you mean? You should be training on getting the hell out. Okay, now do you think they're going to do that? Of course not. Because there is no plan to ever let that state go. And here's a comedy of the EU and the United States saying the Palestinians should not go in this direction. They say, well, no, the much better way to do it is to have a negotiated solution. Well, fantastic. Let's do it. Except the Israelis put in 18 preconditions and say that we would like the negotiations to go exactly our way, and otherwise we're not going to do it. Look, we saw the WikiLeaks where the Palestinians were like begging. They say, okay, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. These are the internal documents they didn't want to be public. And you see in the negotiations, they gave up everything, and the Israelis still said no, right? So the EU and the United States apparently now want the Palestinians to go in that direction again and just give up everything and still get a no for an answer and not do a damn thing about it. Well, I heartily disagree. I think the Palestinians should definitely go forward in the United Nations. They should definitely get their state. I don't think it's dangerous unless Israel, of course, wants to have a violent reaction to that state, and that would be their problem, and that would be their law breaking. And the minute the United Nations says it's a state, the Israelis should have a very peaceful march out of the occupied territories. Otherwise, they will be breaking the law and they will be criminals. Now, if the Israelis can get a state through the United Nations, why not the Palestinians? Nobody can answer that question. No one who's an honest actor can answer that question. How many times did they use other excuses before? Now they're out of excuses. The bottom line is, the people that are powerful in this world, whether it's the Israelis, the United States, or in this case, the head of the EU, they don't give a damn about the Palestinians, and they never want them to have their state. Well, too bad for them. Go forward. I love diplomacy. I love nonviolence. That's the right way to do it, and I'm so glad that the Palestinians have gone in that direction, and I'm very much looking forward to September. I mean, the idea, we'll have to get violent on them to make sure they don't get their legal rights, so it's a dangerous situation they're creating. All right. Okay, I'm going to do one more serious story. Then we got a great interview, actually, about the Obama White House. It's real, this will be related. And then I got to do the clips from the debate, which are amazing and fun as well. So we got a lot of show ahead for you guys. But I got to give you this because this is the most important story of the day when it comes to American politics. This morning I read about how Eric Cantor is very praiseworthy of Joe Biden. Oof, I grabbed a red flag. I'm keeping a red flag around as I read these stories. I'm like, started waving at home. There is no actual red flag. It was in my mind. Anyway, I'm like, Eric Cantor. I mean, if the Democrats come out and say, all right, we will give everything Eric Cantor wants except minus one thing, except we will not give him a stick of bubble gum that he wanted as well. Eric Cantor would come out and say, these Democrats are the worst. They've done nothing. They've done nothing to create jobs. They've done nothing to do spending cuts, etc. Right? Eric Cantor is very pleased with how the talks with Joe Biden are going? Oof, trouble, massive trouble, okay? So that's the first thing I read. I was going to come tell you all about it. Then I start reading more. All of a sudden, new news comes in. Joe Biden saying that they will have a deal by the end of June. The end of June is not that far off. That means they're pretty close to a deal. Now, look, a deal is a good thing overall if it's a good deal, right? But the fact that the Republicans are ready to accept this and the Democrats are going in their direction. I mean, look, here. The second thing I want to tell you about the Eric Cantor thing was that in that article, as I've seen in every article, the Republicans are asking for $2 trillion, right? $2 trillion in spending cuts without any tax increases. So if you're going to get close to a deal pretty soon, and we haven't even started discussing tax increases, and they haven't, right? So that's bad news. That means it's all spending cuts, right? And now, for the first time today, there's a new article saying the Republicans would like $2.4 trillion in spending cuts. How many times have we seen this movie? You think they're going to stop at $2.4 trillion? Because the Democrats, remember, the original idea is $2 trillion, and the Democrats said, hey, you know what? We should do a clean raising of the debt ceiling, not tied to spending cuts. That's a different issue. So the Democrats originally were at zero spending cuts in relation to raising the debt ceiling, which is what we're talking about here, right? And the Republicans were at $2 trillion. The Democrats moved to $1 trillion. Joe Biden announced that a couple of weeks ago. And I told you, oh, they'll move to $2 trillion. Now, $1 trillion should be the middle. That should have been the end of the negotiations, right? Now, of course, that's not how Washington works. You think they're just going to go to $1.5 trillion? You know, go halfway and then go halfway again? Oh, then you don't know the Democrats. They're definitely going to $2 trillion. That isn't the end either, though. Once they go to $2 trillion, the Republicans will move the goalpost. I was planning to tell you all this morning, then I see the goalpost got moved right before the show. Now it's $2.4 trillion. You think that's the last time the Republicans are going to move it? They can go all the way to $4 trillion. Because the more they move the goalpost, the more Biden in the White House goes, oh, okay, let's go further to the right. So Biden's saying today that they're beginning to tackle the really hard stuff, and they're making real progress, meaning giving in more spending cuts. Now, how do I know that? Because the Republicans come out of the meeting and go, oh, no. Not only have we not touched taxes, but we will never touch taxes. No, all the rich will get to keep all their tax cuts. Now, if they do that deal, and there really is no tax increases whatsoever, nothing on the revenue side, and they do $2 trillion or however many trillion in spending cuts, I mean, we all already know the Democrats are hopeless, and the Obama White Houses in negotiations in the past have been hopeless. But that is beyond hopeless. But I'm worried that they're going in that direction. But today, also a sign of so-called strength. The Democrats came out, Senate Democrats, and said, hey, listen, we're drawing a line in the sand. They keep drawing lines in the sand, we're drawing one. I was like, whoa, okay, now we're having fun. Fantastic, right? They say, Mitch McConnell said earlier that Medicare cuts must be involved in this package. Well, Schumer, Reid, Patty Murray came out and said, oh yeah, there will be no Medicare cuts in this package. That's our line in the sand. Excited, right? Then you read into the details. And what's in the details? The devil's in the details, right? So let me tell you what they are. Schumer said, quote, no matter what we do in these budget talks, we must preserve the program in its current form, and we will not allow cuts to seniors' benefits. And I was like, okay, that's a small red flag. Why? Because he said, we will not allow cuts to benefits. We must preserve the program as it is. Now, that's a code word for we will not accept Ryan's plan to totally change the way that Medicare is performed, but we might accept other changes to it. But they said there's no benefit cuts. Oh, wait. In a second article written by Brian Beutler, Democratic Senate leaders, he explains, drew a clear line. Are you ready for this distinction now? Medicare cuts can be on the table, but not Medicare benefit cuts. Second red flag. Okay. Then, third, Democrats said, and this is from a separate article again, there are a lot of people writing about this obviously today. Democrats said that any changes to Medicare would be in the form of delivery reform to avoid cutting benefits for seniors. So, now look, that could be okay. We have to see what the proposal is. But I don't know what they mean by delivery reform. Is that a code word for we're going to cut the benefits but not call it cutting of the benefits? You know the Democrats, entirely possible. So a word of caution on everybody getting excited about the Democrats drawing a line. They're Democrats. They don't mean it, okay? And afterwards, they tell you they don't mean it. So watch out for what Biden's got cooking there. The Republicans are excited about it. That is a very bad sign. And by the way, let me tell you one other thing. There's a lot of false drama in Washington. It was the same thing with healthcare reform. Will it pass? Will it not pass? Will financial reform pass? Will it not pass? And what did I tell you all along? I said they were all going to pass. The question wasn't whether they were going to pass. The question was, what's in it? Is it tough? Is it not tough? I told you that from day one, right? And I'm telling you with this, raising the debt ceiling, are you kidding me? Wall Street and the Chamber of Commerce have already ruled on this. They said that they will definitely raise the debt ceiling no matter what. The Republicans are a wholly owned subsidiary of Wall Street. They're going to raise the debt ceiling. That's why the debt ceiling actually isn't a real problem until August. They say they're going to settle this by the end of June. Why? Because the Republicans are bluffing. They're definitely going to raise the debt ceiling. Their bosses told them to do it. Are the Democrats going to raise it? Absolutely. False drama. Why? Because the Democrats and Republicans have to play this game where at the end they take all the money from the middle class and they go, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. We just had to do the cuts to the middle class and the poor. But golly gee willikers, we still haven't gotten to the tax situation for the rich. Another day. You watch, you see, that's exactly what's going to happen. By the way, one last little wrinkle on that. They could come up with a cute little thing where they say, oh, we took away some exemptions and loopholes and subsidies. We did tax reform. And in return, we cut some corporate tax rates, okay? And maybe even individual. We'll see about that. But probably not. Probably just the corporate tax rates. So maybe I'm being overly optimistic. So then that way, the Democrats will come out and say, look, we put taxes on the table, and we considered the revenue, okay? We're on the revenue side. And the Republicans are going to turn around and go, we lowered corporate taxes. We went into a thing. We got massive cuts in spending, and we lowered corporate taxes. It's coming. It's coming. And that way, Obama gets to keep raising taxes on the rich in his back pocket so he can campaign on it. They're not going to touch that. All right. You know, once you see how politics works, you actually can stop reading the news because you know what's going to happen next. But let's see. Maybe I'm too cocky. Maybe they'll surprise me. Maybe it'll be like Game of Thrones. And all of a sudden they'll come out and be like, we're raising taxes on the rich because there needs to be some equity in how we balance the budget. Everybody laughing along with me? All right, one last thing. Progressive Caucus is going around the country on a tour talking about jobs. God bless their hearts. They're the only people in Washington actually talking about jobs. They're like, hey, can we actually try to create jobs? We're at 9% unemployment. And of course, the White House is like, oh, progressives. They think we should create jobs. We got it on lockdown, man. We're going to go into a re-election with 9% unemployment. We got this thing figured out. Wackadoodle liberals. So John Conyers said a quote that I loved. He's part of the Progressive Caucus. He said, let's get mad. Let's tell the man that we love in the White House to get off his butt and to start supporting some legislature for jobs. He's the best speaker in the world, and now we want some action. Look, Conyers was the first guy to endorse Barack Obama when he was running for president. And now he's asking him, will you, for the love of God, get up off your butt and do something about jobs? He's 100% right. All right, come right back.
I've been waiting here like 10 minutes, man. No. This is my parking space, man. Now, what you need to do is put your little hybrid in reverse and go out the way you came in. What? Yo, it's about to get real in the Whole Foods parking lot, man. It's getting real in the Whole Foods parking lot. I got my steel and you know it gets sparked a lot. I'm on my grind, homie. It's on my mind, homie. These fools with clipboards are looking at me like they know me. It's getting real in the Whole Foods parking lot. You know the deal with the little shopping carts they got. Check out what I say. It happens every day. It's how we live on the west side of LA. I'm riding slow in my Prius. All leather, tinted windows. You can't see us. Everybody's trying to park, you can feel the tension. I'm in electric mode, can't even hear the engine. Just then I saw a spot open up. My timing's perfect, I'm creeping up. But then this other dude tried to steal it going the wrong way.
This is the latest viral YouTube video. He produced this song, he produced the music video. It's hilarious. The lyrics are just amazing.
Who is this guy?
I forgot his handle on YouTube. We'll get it for you guys after the break. But he's hilarious. And it's the only video that's uploaded on his channel. It's just so professionally done. It looks like a real music video.
You know what our problem is? We don't have any rap videos. I mean, the best we got is Saad doing the rap videos about us. The banana hour and how he takes a shower and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah, a little uncomfortable.
Okay,
Thinking
but
about
we
that.
got to put together a quality video. I mean, the Whole Foods parking lot. That's excellent.
And the song has a good beat. Like the entire day, I'm like, it's getting real in the Whole Foods parking lot.
No, you can do that with any song. You know me. I don't believe that at all.
It's
You can do it with any
real
song.
in the Whole Foods parking lot. I got my
You know what also helps this guy?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. You know what helps this guy though? He's very nice looking.
Oh, no, God bless. God bless.
I think he's a good looking guy with his Clippers hat.
Well, you know the funny thing is, Steve and I were just having a conversation about how good looking the male Republican presidential candidates are.
You guys were, yes.
Yeah, most open-minded man in America, man. You know, Romney's a good looking dude. I mean, he's plastic, but you know.
He's had plastic surgery?
No, he looks plastic.
Oh, I see.
He looks like he's made of plastic, right? Huntsman's a good-looking dude. Marco Rubio will eventually be somebody's vice presidential candidate. He's a good-looking dude.
This debate goes on and on. It's a never-ending debate. Who has hotter individuals? Is it the Republicans or Democrats? Usually it's that conversation is only applied to women. But now all of a sudden we're discussing the men, which is a little ironic because you're the one who brought it up. So all of a sudden, Cenk is checking out the Republican candidates. Like,
Most open-minded man in America. I'm not afraid of it.
All right.
Okay. By the way, the conversation started about Michelle Bachmann, but you don't want to hear that.
No, you don't.
Okay, we move forward.
Yes, we do. Mildred Patricia Baena just recently came out. She has broken her silence, okay? She gave an interview to Hello Magazine, which is a publication in the UK, and she talked about having Arnold Schwarzenegger father her child.
Yes, being her baby daddy.
Her baby daddy.
So
I was waiting for this. It was going to happen. I was wondering when she would, tap the tabloid cow, if that makes any sense.
No, it doesn't, but that's a new term we've just come out with.
Or milk the tabloid cow. That's
still not buying it. It's still not really a term. But I totally agree with you. It was obviously inevitable, and I don't even blame her because some tabloid was going to pay her a tremendous amount of money. I'm sure Hello Magazine did. By the way, I love the name of that magazine. Hello! Is that how you pronounce it? Hello!
Well,
we got Arnold's mistress. What else do you want from us?
It's from the UK, so it'd be pronounced a little differently.
So, hello.
Better.
How do you do? Okay, we move on. So, tell me about how did Maria Shriver find out? What did she say, etc.?
Okay, well, Maria Shriver actually confronted her about it. She had suspected that it was Arnold's child for a long time, and then she finally confronted Mildred about it, and Mildred said that she broke down, like she got down on her knees and just started sobbing. And she told Hello Magazine that Maria was so strong, she cried with me, we held each other, and I told her it wasn't Arnie's fault that it takes two. Look, if my housekeeper, who had sex with my husband and had one of his children, came up, told me that she would call him Arnie, like cutesy little nickname, I don't know, I wouldn't be amused by that.
No, I suspect Maria Shriver was not amused by any of this.
No.
But you're right. When I saw that quote, it disturbed me in 17 different ways. First off, it takes two. It wasn't just Arnie's fault. Yeah, I know that, bitch. You're the one who slept with him. I got that. You didn't need to clarify that. Okay, second of all, Arnie. Who's Arnie? Who the fuck's Arnie? Okay? Okay, first of all, that used to be Mr. Schwarzenegger, right? When he was pretending to be your boss before he started sleeping with you. All right, then you come to tell me 13 years later, and you're all cryy with me. I ain't got no interest in that, okay? So, I mean, Maria Shriver's a better person than I am, but I wouldn't have had an interest in that conversation. I mean, I would have wanted to hear her out, and then it would have gotten real in the Whole Foods parking lot.
So she also says that she never told Arnold Schwarzenegger that the boy was his. Mm-hmm. That Arnold suspected it, but he never asked any questions, and Mildred also stayed quiet about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, I find that unbelievable. It's possible, I guess, but the thing is, the reason Maria Shriver asked, and they don't show the pictures of the kid for good reason. He's 13 years old. You don't need to see his pictures, but I've seen the pictures. He looks totally like Arnold, okay? So that's why Maria finally came home. I was like, come on, dude, that looks like my husband. Come on, I just got to call you out. Mm-hmm. And then finally she says, oh, is it true to me and Arnie? And then the next thing you know, okay, yeah, how about you tell me this 13 years ago? Or, I don't know, 7 years ago, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, from that first interview, I have 0% sympathy for her.
No, I have zero sympathy for her as well. I mean, and the Arnie just put me over the edge. Don't call him Arnie.
Yeah, that
It's like
bothered
adding
me as well.
insult to injury.
Yeah. She then comes up to Maria Shriver and says, "It's true. Arnie and I had
live sex."
That ain't right. That ain't right. And then the magazine tells her, "Hello." Uh-oh, that might be a running theme. I might have to go back to the laboratory on that one.
Right, please don't.
By the way, somebody emails me, says, "What is with the new funny pronunciations of everything?" It's like, what did I miss? You know, you miss one little intro to a segment, next thing you know, you have no idea why you've got a migraine headache. He's like, and what is a controversy? What is that? All right, anyway, I'm into the English pronunciations. Now you kind of know. All right, furthermore.
Utah's Attorney General says that he is in favor of legalizing medical marijuana. Now, Utah actually has very strict policies when it comes to marijuana. If you get caught with less than an ounce of marijuana, you could serve 6 months in jail and you have to pay a $1,000 fine. But the Attorney General, who's Mark Shurtleff, he now says, look, I went through colon cancer. It was a terrible disease. I had to go through chemotherapy. I had friends who also went through the treatment, and you vomit. You can't keep the nausea pills down. It's a terrible, terrible situation. And a lot of them smoke doobies. I didn't smoke any marijuana, but they did it and it helped with their pain. So now all of a sudden I'm in favor of legalizing it, which I think is great. Okay, I love that he's willing to have that conversation. He says that he's not going to go out of his way to create legislation, but if the legislation is created, then he will support it and he will testify in favor of it, which I like. Now, it's interesting that he comes out in favor of legalizing marijuana after he goes through a terrible illness and he experiences how horrible it is to go through chemotherapy and only have something like nausea pills to help you with the pain and with the vomiting.
Right. It is a classic Republican response. They never give you any degree of empathy, sympathy, whatever it might be, until it happens to them. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't know. It turns out marijuana could be medicinal. And these people aren't all faking it. It turns out they really have nausea and that marijuana actually helps them. Oh, well then now that I've gone through it, well then okay, I'm in favor of it. Before when it applied to you, I didn't give a rat's ass. But now that I'm affected by it, oh yeah. And even then, what a profile in courage. I mean, I won't introduce it. I'm a Republican, right?
Right.
But if you introduce it, then maybe I'll vote yes. Why? Are you not merciful? You know what this reminds me of? Rick Santorum introduces legislation to cap medical liability at $250,000. His wife has a back problem. She's sued for $500,000. Mm-hmm. When they say, well, wait a minute now, your wife sued for twice as much as the legislation you are proposing. He said, yeah, but that was my wife.
Oh, God.
Okay, there you have it. That's Republican 101.
Look, I agree with you, okay, but I think it's a little unfair to compare him to Santorum because...
First of all, it's a little unfair to compare anyone to Santorum. So I get that.
Agreed. But, you know, with this Attorney General, it's really easy to have those misconceptions about marijuana, especially if you've never smoked marijuana before. A lot of people buy into the hype and they think, oh, marijuana is never used for medicinal purposes. There are no medical benefits to it, right? And you buy into that propaganda that people feed you constantly. And I think that's what happened with him. And the only thing that annoys me about him is the fact that now he's in favor of legalizing marijuana, and then he tries to act like he's never smoked it. Like, he claims he hasn't smoked it. I don't believe him. He's definitely smoked it.
See, that's funny because I flip on that. I don't know. Because, you know, he's a Republican legislator. He gets caught smoking it. They're not going to give a damn that he had cancer. His own party's going to write him out of town. You know what I'm saying? So he might have gutted it out. The one part I didn't believe him at all is like, my friends who smoked it, of course, went out of town, out of the state, where it would be legal.
No one went out of the state. No one went out of Utah to find that medical marijuana.
Yeah, you drove all the way to where? California? Where'd you drive? You drove all the way? No, you didn't. Okay. No, you guys. And like, he probably observed them smoking the marijuana in the same room, which was a small room, so he could also. Look, and by the way.
What was that?
I don't even know. By the way, I've never gotten high off of it. I don't know how to smoke it. I'm a disaster. Anyway. I don't blame him. Don't get me wrong. The dude had cancer, okay?
He had colon cancer.
Yeah.
He went through chemotherapy. If you wanted to smoke a doobie, I say smoke a doobie. It'll help you out.
Or you were in the room, or you were lying about it. You know, like
Or you
still,
hotboxed
still
the car.
people. Somebody wrote me an email like, "But Cenk, you don't understand about Wiener. He lied to him. He even lied to Rachel Maddow. He was on her show and lied." I'm so amused by that, man. Do you know how many times congressmen and senators have lied to me? Like, I find out later. Oh, it turns out that Democratic or Republican congressman didn't really mean that. Would I be like, oh my God, he lied to me. Of course he lied to you. Anyway, so if this guy smoked pot and then he lied about it, I don't give a damn at all, man. Smoke all the pot you want, lie all you want about it. If other people are going to be a dick to you, who cares? Lie to them. I don't know. Is that crazy? I think that's right. Okay.
In other pot-related news, the Supreme Court in Washington State has ruled that an employer can fire an employee who smokes medical marijuana, even if that employee smokes the medical marijuana at home and it does not affect his or her job performance in any way, shape, or form.
I'm going Cenk Uygur here. Just when you think you got me figured out, I'm going the other way. I think the ruling is right.
You're great. I disagree 100%. So okay, what about the people who take Oxycontin?
Fired.
They're prescribed Oxycontin. They take Oxycontin when they're at home. It doesn't affect their job. They don't take it on the job. You think they should get fired too?
Fired.
You're so full of it. You're full of it. I don't believe you.
No, wait, hold up. Okay, now, so let me clarify, right? Do I think they're bad guys? No, of course not, right? Do I think they should be allowed to smoke at home? Definitely. Should the company fire them over it? Definitely not, okay? But if the company has a policy, it has a policy. It's a private company. You can have a policy. Now, it can't be discriminatory like, oh, I fired Anna because she's a woman, and come on, women can't do the job. No, we can't have that, right? Can't do it based on race, etc., right? But if they have a policy, you can't, let's say, drink beer at home. They can have that policy.
So you're
Nobody
in
would want to
favor-
work for them, but I think they can have that policy.
Beer is different because that's done for like recreational use. You smoke, I mean, you drink to have fun, right?
Right.
But if you are using medicinal marijuana, it's because you were prescribed that marijuana because you have some sort of pain, some sort of chronic pain, or if you're prescribed any type of prescription, it's because you have some sort of illness or disease, and it's something that's out of your control in a lot of cases. So you have to take that. So you're saying that sick people should not be or private companies should be allowed to fire people who are sick and have to take a prescription drug.
I think so, yeah.
I'd have to disagree. I can't disagree more.
Okay, hold on. I would have to check into the laws, and it'd be a good argument legally as to whether that's discrimination or not, right? But I think, and for the 8th time, let me reiterate, I don't agree with the company. I think the company is disastrous. So I think it's a terrible policy, right? But I think that, it might have to do with whether they have 50 employees or less or more, right? Depending on whether they have to follow certain discrimination laws, et cetera. But if a guy sets up shop down the street, I'm a little Rand Paulish in this way, and he says, you know what, I don't like people who drink because my dad was an alcoholic, it bothers me. You're not allowed to drink under any circumstances. All right, you know what, I don't like guys who take prescription pain medicine because my mom lost it on that, or my dad's Rush Limbaugh and he went deaf and I think it's a bad idea, and I don't care what you got going on, I'm not going to allow it. Fine.
Can you imagine if like the head of MSNBC came to you and said, you know, I really don't like cholesterol medication or people who take cholesterol medication because when my dad took cholesterol medication, it had terrible side effects. It damaged his liver. So Cenk Uygur, I heard that you take cholesterol medication and I would like to fire you. I'm sorry, my company has that policy.
I would say to them, I totally understand what you're saying. I will no longer take it. And I will die of a heart attack in a year and a half. Okay, no. Look, it doesn't mean you have to like the policy. I wouldn't agree with that policy, and I might not work for them. I might say, oh, that's interesting. Here's the other part of that, which is that the Young Turks is the largest online news show in the world. So you do what you got to do. I do what I got to do. You see what I'm saying? So now, look, it's bad because people are put in a bad situation. I got it. I'm on their side. I love them. Okay? I hate the company. Does that make it better?
No, it doesn't.
Okay, it does. All right.
I just find it ironic that you are in favor of regulating the banking system and, regulating private companies in some ways, but when it comes to something like this, you're not in favor of regulating them.
That's right, because I do it case by case. So in the case of the regulation of the banks, they endanger our global economy. They endanger us, right? in that case, they're making a decision about their employees, and in the end, it's going to hurt themselves, because then you're going to have which right-minded employee wants to go to a company that's that unreasonable? Now, that might be a small thing, but if they do it over the stretch of, a lot of things, they get a bad reputation, yada, yada. Look, I'm a capitalist, man. Look, I feel like Herman Cain from yesterday. Look, I'm black. Yeah, I'm black. Okay? I'm a capitalist. I believe in the free market within bounds of reason with appropriate regulations. And look, I could be wrong on this. I bet if you've got two excellent lawyers to argue the case on both sides, there's some chance that you could swing me on it. But right now, I think that does not fall within discrimination.
Can we open this up to the Supreme Court?
Real quick. Supreme Court.
Company guilty.
Guilty. Okay. Jesus.
Guilty.
All right. Well, there you have it. Very clear. I feel like I've been overruled and outvoted many times on the TYT Supreme Court. It's getting to be a trend.
It used to be me, but it is now switched to you.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe I should think about that. All right, I lose again, 3-1. TYT Supreme Court says, smoke up. All right, what's next?
All right, there is a group known as the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, and they're doing a study into the active ingredient in ecstasy, MDMA, and how it could treat veterans who have post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, now this is interesting because you hear about ecstasy. It's been basically outlawed by our government. It was outlawed in 1985, and it's considered one of the most dangerous drugs, right?
Danger. It gives you ecstasy.
But it turns out this organization, otherwise known as MAPS, has been doing studies into it, and through their studies they found that the active ingredient in ecstasy can actually be very beneficial to those who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder.
It's also beneficial to people who are looking to get really high. But anyway, yes. All right, but this is a serious story, yes.
No, but it is a serious story. I'm a little skeptical because I just know that MDMA has some serious side effects, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, MDMA releases serotonin and dopamine in your brain. It gives you this elevated feeling of euphoria. It also subdues the amygdala, which is the fear center in the brain. So of course that's something that's necessary for people who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder because they're suffering from fear, you know? And I think that this is an interesting study. I'm glad they're doing it. What they did is they looked at 20 people. A few of them were given a placebo. The rest were given the MDMA. And this was a 4-month-long treatment. And they found that 80% of those who were given the MDMA improved with their post-traumatic stress disorder. However, more studies need to be done to see what the long-term effects of, regular use would be.
Look, I'm concerned about the long-term effects too, because if you mess with your brain long enough, you're going to have issues, right? And this is pretty powerful stuff, right? At the same time, their brain has already been messed with by the trauma. That's why they have PTSD, right? And so what they're trying to do is correct it. Now, it's tough, and like Anna says, you'd have to go for a while to make sure that it's safe in the long run, right? But is it worth experimenting with? Absolutely. Is it worth trying out to see if it's helpful to those patients? Absolutely. And 80% is a huge number.
80% is a huge number, and I agree with you. I'm in favor of testing it. I think it's important to test it because it could be a breakthrough. But at the same time, the one thing that I'm concerned about is we keep on depending on prescription drugs to help people that have mental illnesses, right? Or people who are suffering from, let's say, ADD or post-traumatic stress disorder, or people who are suffering anxiety disorders, things like that. I think that there's still value in talk therapy, and we've moved away from that so much, and we're starting to depend more and more on pharmaceutical companies giving us drugs. And
well, generally I agree with you, right? Mm-hmm. In this case, I don't, because they've suffered some significant trauma. And it's not like Freud's going to come in there and go into his laboratory and all of a sudden come out with and say like, hey, listen, buck up. It's going to be all right.
Okay, talk therapy is a little more sophisticated than that.
Let's go grab an ice cream sandwich. You're going to be all right, dog. Okay? No, I mean, I think that there has been some chemical trauma. Again, damn it, Jim, I'm not a doctor. I'm a talk show host. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'd be surprised if talk therapy alone worked for a majority of those patients.
And I'm not saying it should be talk therapy alone, But I think that should at least supplement what they're trying to do. We shouldn't solely depend on prescription drugs, which is what we're moving toward, and I think that's a really bad thing.
At the same time, I don't want to be granola and be like, if you just, what the Native Americans did was they ground up the spinach and then added a little bacon and then blue cheese. They called it a Cobb salad, but it works great.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything organic, so I went to Cobb salad. Okay, anyway, so look, my bottom line, if I had post-traumatic stress disorder, I'd be like, hit me up with some of that X, man. Let's keep it real, okay? I would do some experiments in my laboratory because, look, by the way, my friend once tried ecstasy. That was the one thing he tried other than marijuana that doesn't work for my friend, okay? And it was awesome, which I hesitate to tell you, okay? But that's what my friend says, okay? And my friend was on before he knew what the hell was going on, was on a table at a VIP section in Miami, on the table, dancing with 5 hot chicks around him, okay? Euphoria was the correct description of my friend's situation. But my friend only took it once. Okay, you know why? Because my friend has discipline and said, I will be euphoric without that drug. Yeah. Now, if you got post-traumatic stress disorder, that's a little harder. I'll be like, let me see that MDMA business.
Just from that one time, did your friend experience any downsides of taking it?
My friend, no, yes, one slight downside. He was randomly a little less horny. Like, I was with a hot Bohemian chick, right, all night. It's 5 in the morning, and I'm like, what? The party just got started. I'm sorry, my friend said the party just got started. What's going on? But, my friend went home and was like, wait, I didn't even try to get laid. What happened?
Your friend was probably too exhausted from dancing on the VIP table for such a long period of time.
No, my friend wasn't exhausted at all, but my friend didn't even think about that aspect of it, which is not regular for my friend, especially back in the Miami days. Okay, just keeping it real, that's all. All right, let's take a break. Okay, Anna and my friend will be back.